I am going to tell you something that took me 58 years to understand. The kitchen I grew up around, the one that smelled like masa and stewing meat, and beans being mashed, and chile roasting on the comal, that kitchen was not just a place where food was made. It was not only a pharmacy, but a sanctuary for the body, mind, and spirit. And somewhere between my grandmother's hands and my mother's working two jobs and the drive-through on the corner, I lost access to it. I am obese. I eat processed food. I eat takeout. I follow the typical modern unhealthy diet, and that has nothing to do with who I am or how I feel inside. And after the lightning struck my life 90 days ago, I made a decision. I am going back to reclaim my medicine cabinet and my cultural healing resources. Stay with me, because what you are about to learn about traditional Mexican food is going to change the way you see every tortilla, every bowl of beans, every slice of avocado your abuela ever put on the table. And I'm going to tell you something about tortillas and outer space that nobody is talking about. When I close my eyes and think about the Mexican kitchen, I think about the afternoon of December 23rd, the day before the Christmas Eve party. Grandma Carmen's kitchen, all of the women of my family gathered to make tamales. Hours of work, hours of giggling, music playing, taste testing, the masa between your fingers, the meat stewing, the beans being mashed. Everything about it was sensory. Everything about it was alive. That is the kitchen I lost. My mother was a single mother working two jobs. Mailita, abuelita, the most loving word in Spanish for grandmother, was a woman who could find a connection with anyone she ever met. She was a career woman. Neither of them had time to cook the food of their grandmothers. So I never learned. And what I did not realize until 90 days ago is that I did not just lose recipes. I lost a natural pharmacy and healing resource in the food built over 10,000 years that I had let slip away in the fog and pain of my life. Always eating in an unhealthy way, choosing convenience, choosing cheap, slowly, without even realizing it, making choices that were taking years off my life. I have diabetes, and the food that could have been protecting me, the food my grandmothers made with their hands, was sitting in my memory like a dream I kept forgetting to live. They told us our food was unhealthy. They questioned nixtamalization, the molcajete, epazote. They banned chia and amaranth. They ignored spirulina. They were wrong about all of it. I am not angry. I am going back to get it. Sacred food by sacred food. The way healing actually works, not just in nutrition, but in its magical properties. Corn teaches us that before we can feed anyone else, we must first learn to draw our own nourishment from within. We begin where Mexican civilization began, with corn. The oloton corn of Oaxaca grows 10 to 12 feet tall, even in drought, because it pulls nitrogen directly from the air. It creates its own nourishment. Scientists are now studying it as a way to save our oceans from the chemical fertilizers destroying marine life worldwide. The grandmothers knew. They always knew. And this is not just a story about corn. During the pandemic, I was isolated, starving for something I could not name. I found a hypnotist whose narrative fed me, but it was someone else's nourishment. I needed to learn to feed myself. Then I heard about Jose Silva, a Mexican-American man who wanted to help his children thrive. I traveled to California for the first time. I sat down to meditate, and the earth quaked. Not metaphorically, literally, an earthquake. And I knew. I learned to balance relaxation and awareness, to let the nourishment come from within. just like the orotong corn that does not wait for rain. And the objective of self-nourishment is never just for yourself. When you learn to nourish yourself truly, you become capable of nourishing the world. You already carry everything you need. The nourishment is already there. When you feed yourself from that place, you feed everyone you touch. That is the first sacred food in the Mexican kitchen. That is corn. And if what I just shared about self-nourishment is resonating, I want to invite you to go deeper with me. On June 22nd at 7 p.m., I am hosting a live 90-minute workshop called Ask Better Questions, Create a Better Life. It is a guided NLP meditation experience using exalted questions, the exact kind of questions that help you access the nourishment that is already inside you. The investment is $49.99, and the link is in the description below. Your seat is waiting. Now, let us keep going. The tomato. The tomato teaches us to trust what we feel beneath the surface, to honor the intuition that knows before the mind catches up. The tomato, jitomate in Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs, was first cultivated in Mexico and spread to the entire world. Every culture adopted it. The tomato changed the cuisine of the planet. I believe the seeds of the tomato plant the seeds of authenticity in ourselves, allowing us to divine the authentic self in others. I have always been sensitive. I could always read between the lines. I could always feel what was real underneath the surface. I gave up watching television because it was dulling that sensitivity, and when I stopped, I became more open, more tuned, more able to feel what was true. In the Jose Silva classes, I discovered a way to go deeper into what I already carried. I feel healed by communing with people, by listening, by finding the thread. My grandmother Lita, Abuelita, was a woman who could find a connection with anyone she ever met, a cousin, a street, a year. She could always find the thread. I inherited that. And tomatoes, I eat them almost every day. It must be true that they cause intuition. You were born with eyes that see past the surface. You are not learning to be intuitive. You are remembering that you always were. That is the second sacred food in the Mexican kitchen. That is the tomato. The avocado. The avocado teaches us that we are never meant to grow alone, that the most beautiful things in life come in pairs. The avocado was first cultivated in Mexico, creamy, rich in healthy fats, misunderstood for decades by scientists who told us fat was the enemy. They were wrong about that too. But what I love most about the avocado is something the scientists cannot measure. Avocados grow in pairs, always two, always side by side, representing the duality at the heart of all life, the yin and yang, the self and the other. I see couples around me in loving, beautiful relationships, my son and his wife, a partnership that moves me every time I witness it. People in my family who have lasted a lifetime together, who have grown old side by side, who chose each other again and again. Through all the seasons of a life, even in the fog of my own pain, I could see them, and they encouraged me. I have had dysfunctional relationships with men, relationships that did not reflect the love I was capable of giving or the love I deserved to receive. That is the truth I'm willing to say out loud now. But the avocado gives me hope, because avocados do not grow alone. They grow in pairs, and they keep growing, side by side, season after season. I eat avocados now with intention, with hope, with the belief that I am learning through healing how to give and receive love in a way that is healthy, that is whole, that lasts. I am open, I am ready, I am healed and ready to love. The pair I will grow old with is coming, and the woman who will meet him, she is not the woman in the fog. She is the woman who came through the lightning. You are already worthy of the pair that is coming. You are not learning to love. You are healing into it. That is the third sacred food in the Mexican kitchen. That is the avocado. The chile. The chile teaches us that the very thing that creates discomfort also relieves it. That risk and relief live in the same bite. The chile pepper, the chile, was cultivated throughout Mexico, adding a picante, a live flavor to everything it touches. Capsaicin, the compound that makes chile hot, is also one of nature's most powerful pain relievers. The very thing that creates the sensation also relieves it. That is not a contradiction. That is the wisdom of the chile. Eating chile is like a roller coaster, the thrill of going up, the relief of coming down, a measured risk, a constrained adventure. After my lightning strike, without knowing how, without knowing where the money was coming from, I signed up for hypnosis certification, NLP training, coach training. I still do not know exactly where all the money is coming from, but I said yes. And the moment I said yes, something in me relaxed. The pain of playing it safe began to melt. The pain of thinking you cannot follow an inspired livelihood. The pain of not believing in yourself. And like chile in your mouth, the shock first, then the warmth, then the delicious. I am going to enjoy every minute of those classes. I am going to be devoted to them. I am going to have fun, and I am going to show off everything I learned to everybody patient enough to listen. And just between us, I like my snacks at inferno level chile. Hot wings, chips, nuts, candy, anything snacky, bring the heat. But anything I eat with a knife and fork, or anything that is a meal, medium picante, por favor. There is wisdom in knowing when to turn up the fire and when to let it simmer. You have already taken the risk. You have already felt the heat. The relief is coming. The delicious is already here. That is the fourth sacred food in the Mexican kitchen. That is the chile. Beans teach us that magic is not reserved for the extraordinary. It lives in the humble, the ordinary, the things everyone else overlooked. Beans, frijoles, are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Plant-based protein, high in fiber, rich in B vitamins, iron, folate, and calcium. Scientists call it a brain food, a superfood. But some cultures have always known that beans carry something beyond nutrition. Something magical. Jack traded a cow for a handful of beans everyone called worthless. And those beans grew into a stalk that reached the land of the giants. I believe in the magic of beans because I grew up inside it. My father was born in Mexico and came here when he was 5. He carried an idealized version of Mexico, a magical Mexico, in his heart his whole life, and passed it down to me. He would sit us down and play his guitar. We would sing the old rancheras, José Alfredo Jiménez, Chente, every word. We would laugh. We would be together. He died when I was 11 years old, but the magic did not leave with him. I still carry every word of every song he taught me. I still feel the magic of Mexico in my bones. And now, after the lightning, I feel the magic of purpose. Inspiration comes like a spark. The ability to listen and nurture, to find the thread in another person. That is my magic. The magic bean does not look like much in your hand, but plant it and watch what grows. The giant stalk is already growing. You are already reaching heights you could not see from the ground. That is the fifth sacred food in the Mexican kitchen. That is the bean. Garlic and onion teach us that our most essential qualities grew from our darkest moments. That mistakes are not the end of the story. They are the beginning of the flavor. Garlic and onion are the foundation of almost every cuisine on earth. Every culture that has ever fed itself with love starts here. with garlic and onion in a hot pan, that smell, that sizzle. And legend says when Lucifer was cast out of the Garden of Eden, garlic and onion grew from the footsteps he left behind. Something essential grew from the darkest moment. Mistakes are not the end of the story, they are the beginning of the flavor. I carry guilt, moments where I did not listen the way I should have, where I was not as sensitive as I wish I could have been, where I missed the thread. The only thing I can do is forgive myself and take steps to correct it. Because look at what grew from that footstep. My entire purpose is built on the thing that I felt I lacked in. Listening, really listening, letting people feel heard and seen. My grandmother Lita could always find a connection with anyone. She could always find the thread. I am learning to be that, not perfectly, but with devotion. The garlic and onion do not apologize for making you cry. They know the tears are part of the process. Your mistakes did not disqualify you. They prepared you. You flavor everything. That is the sixth sacred food in the Mexican kitchen. That is the garlic and the onion. The nopal teaches us that we can be both protected and open at the same time. That having spines does not mean closing ourselves off to the sun. The nopal, the cactus, that flat green petal covered in spines, growing in the desert without rain, without care, and yet it thrives. The nopal does two things I believe are the secret to a healed life. First, it protects itself. Those spines say no clearly, firmly, with full commitment to its own survival. Second, it self-nourishes, just like the olotong corn. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It finds what it needs within itself. And it does both things at the same time. Protected and open, the spines say no to what could harm it, but the face of the nopal, the broad flat paddle, is open to the sun. After my lightning strike, I chose nopal as my first step back into the Mexican kitchen. Rich in fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, shown to regulate blood sugar and reduce inflammation. I have eaten it grilled, a little charred in a taco or sope, in a stew, as a salad, a little gooey with cheese. It has the texture of a green bean, alive and honest and green, and it is delicious. That is the thing about coming back to your ancestral food. You think it will taste like medicine, but it tastes like coming home. You already have spines. You already know how to open your face to the sun. You are already the nopal. That is the seventh sacred food in the Mexican kitchen. That is the nopal. Chocolate teaches us that joy is not a reward we earn. It is a medicine we are allowed to take every single day. And now we arrive at the elixir of the gods, chocolate. Cacao was first cultivated in Mexico. The Aztecs prepared it as a drink, sweetened with honey, flavored with cinnamon, spiced with chile. Healthy, full of flavonoids, full of antioxidants. We ruined chocolate. We processed it, loaded it with sugar, stripped the nutrients, and told you it was a guilty pleasure you could only have sometimes. We took something sacred and made it shameful. A healthy rustic chocolate, the ancient Mexican chocolate drink, you can have every day. Just like gratitude, just like joy, just like the deliciousness of life. We think we have to earn pleasure. We think treats are for special occasions. Sound familiar? That is the same story as the Chanel perfume sitting on the shelf not being used. The same story as the good dishes saved only for company. Every day is worthy of a chocolate elixir, a moment of presence, a song that makes you feel alive, the smell of flowers on a walk with your grandchildren, that smell like hot chocolate, the giggling of babies on a pile of blankets. That is the elixir of the gods. It was always available to you. You are already worthy of the elixir. Every day you choose healing. That is your chocolate. Drink it. That is the eighth sacred food in the Mexican kitchen. That is chocolate. The tortilla. The tortilla teaches us that what the world calls simple is often the most essential, that the most humble things carry the greatest strength. And now, I promised you something at the beginning of this video. The tortilla. The humble flatbread that was dismissed as peasant food, that was Americanized into something our grandmothers would not even recognize. That tortilla is now the only bread that NASA trusts in outer space. In 1985, a Mexican payload specialist named Rodolfo Neri Vela traveled to space and requested tortillas. NASA accommodated him. The crew realized tortillas work better than bread in zero gravity. No crumbs floating into equipment, safe, nutritious, lasting up to 18 months without refrigeration. In 2024, the crew of the International Space Station ate over 3,000 tortillas, the food that fed indigenous people for 10,000 years, dismissed, Americanized, processed. It is the food humanity takes when it leaves the planet. Grandma Carmen knew. She always knew. And I am going back to learn what she knew. The Mexican kitchen is not just a place where food is made. It is not just a medicine cabinet, but a sacred healing resource built over 10,000 years by indigenous women who understood the human body, the human spirit, and the human heart in ways that science is only now beginning to document. Corn that self-nourishes and could save our oceans. Tomatoes that plant the seeds of authenticity and intuition. Avocados that teach us we are never meant to be alone. Chile that gives us courage to take measured risks. Beans that carry the magic of intelligence and purpose. Garlic and onion that grow from our darkest footsteps. Nopal that protects itself and stays open to the sun. Chocolate that remind us that every day is worthy of the elixir. And tortillas trusted in outer space. I lost this kitchen when the thread broke, but after the lightning strike, I am going back. Not perfectly, not all at once, one sacred food at a time, the way the nopal grows, the way healing actually works, not just in nutrition, but in its magical properties. And we are going to reclaim our medicine cabinet and our sacred sustenance. I am Yolanda. This is Frog's Little Tale. Write your own story. And if you are just beginning, start here. My free 30-day journaling guide, Feel It to Heal It, is linked in the description below. 30 prompts, completely free, one page at a time, one sacred food at a time. Dicho y hecho, said and done, write your own story. Before you go, drop it in the comments below. What is one traditional food from your culture that you want to bring back into your life? And what is its special magical property? Just one. I read every single one. Now that you know the truth about the Mexican kitchen, my next video is going to show you the exact healing techniques that changed my life. Watch it right here.